I also invite you to feel that in your body. So not only to pay attention to the screen and what is being said, but also how does it feel in the body? The words Jennifer used, how does it feel? What does it do with the aliveness in your body? And that is a little practice we can do anytime, also in daily life. Just turning to the body and feeling in the body what your responses are. And Jennifer mentioned the deeper level of love and wisdom. And yesterday I quoted Lama Yeshe from his book, Introduction to Tantra, how the Tibetan tradition, and he even says all spiritual paths, are ways to uncover, make contact, and trust that deeper level of love and wisdom within all of us. So during this session today, I want to hold that as a paradigm, as a point of view, that a tantric point of view, that there is the gradual path to awakening, something we work towards, but at the same time, while being on the path, we can always take these moments of resting, doing nothing, and touching that inner space, the sacred divine temple in the center of our own being, the Lama in the inner Lama, what is also called Buddha nature. Like a depth of this moment, a depth of your being, which you probably have contacted, and it revealed itself again and again throughout your life. Moments where the contracted self, the reactive self, went somewhat into the background, and openness and connectedness was present. These moments where you forget yourself, where you forget this constant mantra, what about me? What about me? What does it do with me? How can I get more of this? Or how can I get rid of this? So these moments where this inner voice goes a bit into the background and something deeper, something divine reveals itself. And Lama Yeshe also said in that quote that we have this available in any moment. So also now. It's always now, where we can make this little journey. So what keeps us from resting as that loving space more in our life? So what keeps us from making contact with that which is what we must yearn for, what we must long for, which according to Lama Yeshe is available in this moment. So what keeps us from connecting that space, that way of being? And the answer in the Buddhist teachings is self-grasping. Probably many of you have heard that word, and before our first meditation, or second meditation. I want to talk a little bit about that. This is probably the most liberating insight which is available to us in this life. That is to become aware of the identification with the narrative self, also so it's called self-grasping. So the identification with the narrative self. So the narrative self is that collection of stories about who you think you are. And this story is conceptual. It consists of memories, of projections in the future. It contains of what you think you can do and what you can't do. It contains the traumas you have experienced in this life, the memories of the traumas in your body and in your mind. It contains of your name, maybe contains the possessions, and it contains an instinctive feeling that there is something here, something solid, something separate, something real, something lasting. So the narrative self is a mixture of stories, of words, of names, plus a felt sense, a contraction in your energy body. And these two together, they give us the sense of separateness, the sense of that we are looking from a central position with which we identified with. And a lot of the narrative self in our culture is really unwholesome. So a big part of many of us of the narrative self is, I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I need to work harder. I'm ashamed. I'm guilty. Yeah? So that's often part of the narrative self. It's things we have experienced in our life. We develop this really crappy story about ourselves because something happened to us. And this contraction, this identification that keeps the experience of connectedness, of unity, of essence love, of freedom. And one of the first steps to awake from that is to see it, to feel it, to explore, what do I actually mean when I say I? What do I actually, where does the word I or mine or myself, where does that land and how does it feel? Yeah, to get also a sense of the contraction in your body, and just to become aware of that. That's called identifying the object of negation in the Prasankika philosophy. Yeah. This is a very liberating step in itself, because when you do that, implicitly you have also, you could have an experience, oh, there is also something which is bigger than that, because I can be aware of the narrative self, I can be aware of the contraction. So there must be two, the one who is aware and what you are aware of. And now in our first meditation, I would like to use an image for your experience, an image of your mind, and that is a stream. So let's see our experience right now, which is an experience within mind. Yeah, so that's just a moment maybe to pause here. So whatever you experience right now, my voice, and also when you look at the screen, the visual image, the feelings you have, the mood you are in today. Yeah, so all these are experienced within consciousness. They are experienced within mind, and they are impermanent. They change moment by moment. And they are forced upon you in the way they appear to you by your karma. So you could say what you experience right now is the display of your karma within consciousness, within mind. Through the dualistic distortion of reality, of course, you might have a feeling, or probably you have a feeling, that when you look at something, that it is something outside. So you look at something outside. But if you reflect a little, you make a backward step, then you can become aware that actually whatever you experience right now is experience within mind, is experience within consciousness. And it is something which is changing moment by moment. So it is like a stream. It is also called sometimes the stream of consciousness. So usually there is two options. One is we are in the stream, we're entangled in the stream, we are identified with the stream. So it's not like I am aware of feelings, I'm aware of thoughts, I'm aware of my sensations in the body, but it is I am that. So we are in the stream and we are looking from the stream. We identify with the stream, and then we take the perspective and look from the stream. So for example, if within your experience right now is anxiety, and you make the identification with that anxiety, then you look from anxiety and the world around you appears fearful. It appears threatening because you have the glasses of anxiety on. You look from the perspective of the river, yeah? From this perspective of your experience, and you feel you are that. So one of the first steps in meditation is to step out of the river. And this is an amazing step not many people have done yet on this planet. Most people are identified with the narrative self. So in meditation, we get this opportunity of kind of stepping onto the riverbank into the witness perspective, into the observer perspective, and become aware that the river is changing moment by moment, and I am that which is aware. You don't step so far away that you don't notice anymore, but you make this little backward step. I'm aware. I'm aware of that contraction in my body, or I'm aware that I feel calm right now, or I'm aware that I'm confused, or I'm aware that I'm tired. So we make consciously this step out of the identification and just realizing these are objects, these are appearances, and they are appearances within mind. So when that step is possible, then we also start to realize there's different ways to relate to the content, to the stream. There's different ways. One way is, I don't like it. I want it to be different. So one way is to resist. And resistance leads to suffering, leads to dissatisfaction. So one important practice in meditation is then, from the observer perspective, from the witness perspective, to just allow this moment to be what it is, to really relax into it, to say yes, to find the deepest yes you can. This is how it is. This is my experience right now. This is how I feel right now. This is what I think. This is the temperature in the room. This is the things which are around me. Yeah. So there is this skill we can develop in meditation to allow thoughts, sensations, and feelings and sounds to come and go. And when we recognize grasping, meaning we want to attain something or we want to reject something because we want it to be different. So we train ourselves to relax that grasping. And it is something one can feel in the body. It's like a fist opening. Yeah? And this opening is like an embrace. So you embrace your experience as it is. No fixing, no controlling, no manipulating, no interfering. And the immediate experience will be that your suffering will decrease, because suffering comes from resistance. And we don't need to go for like a complete wow, but just to relax the grasping a little reduces your suffering a little. So that's good enough. If we would be able to completely to say yes to this moment, we would be fully awakened. Other people would start to call us Buddha. Yeah? So we look for little steps of more space for who we are in this moment. And in a way, if you think about it, it's insane to say no to this moment, because this moment is already what it is. It can't be different because it is connected with everything else, which ever happened in your life and which ever happened in all universes. And then to say no to this is really insane. So saying yes to this moment is not saying yes to injustice. Yeah, so that's something we can discuss about. So yes, to say yes to this moment gives more space to disrupt systems of power, systems of violence. Yeah, but disrupt systems of power, systems of violence, not from the reactive self, but from compassion, from love. Yeah. So saying yes here does not mean to say yes to violent systems. Yeah. It is supposed to support us in our journey of disrupting systems of power, systems of violence, from compassion, from love, from wisdom. So I would like to invite you into a bit of a sitting, kind of a guided meditation, where I will use this image of the river. And if you make yourself comfortable, neither too sloppy nor too tight. Yeah. And we start very simple by becoming aware of your inner life, of the inner weather. So you slide with your awareness into the body, even really down into your feet, into your posture. And you can bring your breath a bit into the foreground, so that with each in-breath you slide into the body, you drop into the body, from the head into the body. And you allow thoughts to go into the background. You unhook from the thinking. And if you find yourself entangled in a dialogue, into the stories of the narrative self, then you slide back into your belly, into your hands, into the aliveness of your body. And if there's some contraction or some discomfort, you just allow it to be there, neither ignoring it nor focusing on it. So see if you can find a yes. It's good enough. It's good enough. And we can appreciate that we do this together. So we are making this journey together within this big space of the continents. And returning, and then you rest. And in the out breath, there's a quality of softening and letting go. Or maybe you can soften your belly and your shoulders, your face. And then with the in-breath and awareness, welcoming all the guests in the guest house of the body. And then we can call upon the presence of our masters and teachers and mentors who fill the space with their presence, with their loving kindness. And allow yourself to take a bath with your whole body from the toes to the top of your head. Like sitting in the morning sun after a cold night, just warming in the presence of bodhicitta, wisdom. So there is the experience, the content of your experience, this voice, the sounds in your environment, sensations in the body, your thoughts, your feelings. The stream of consciousness. And I invite you to make the backward step, as if you are stepping out of the river. And just noticing that whatever you experience is an object of awareness. And whatever comes to the foreground, this might be the breath, this might be this voice, this might be a sensation in your body. You allow that to happen, but you make this little backward step into the witness. There is also your sense of the body, the mental image of your body, maybe like sitting in a room, a sense of I, where you usually localize yourself, and you make it a backward step. These are all objects of my awareness, content of awareness. So no matter what comes to the foreground, a story or a feeling, the breath, sense of I, mental images, this voice, you make this little backward step. So you are aware of your breath. You are aware of your thoughts. You're aware of your feelings. You're aware of the sound around you. You're aware of the earth carrying you. Notice that this river is in constant motion. So there's flow. It's a coming and going. Non-static, like clouds in the sky coming and going. And maybe you feel a bit of a pull into a certain area of your experience where it's a bit difficult to step backward and to recognize it as an object. So you make a backward step and then you rest. You just let go. Until something else comes up. And then you make the backward step into the observer, into the witness consciousness. So then we can add to that perspective a teaching of the Buddha saying, whatever arises in your experience is not me and is not mine. So whatever you're aware of, pleasant, unpleasant, sensations, sounds, memories, the sense of I, the mental image of your body, this voice, it's not me, it's not mine. So what happens if you just, as an experiment, stop to put the label me or mine on these appearances? So instead of my thoughts, thoughts. Instead of my feelings, feelings. What is this moment if there's not me and no mine? And you just forget these words. And then you relax into the reality of this moment. You rest. So whatever arises, this is not who I am, because I am aware of that. Whatever arises, this is not who I am, because I am aware of that. I am that which is observing, that which is witnessing. And then you rest. And then if any dialogue comes up, you make a backward step. I'm aware of that dialogue. I'm bigger. And then you rest. Let this moment just flow through you as it is. And if something comes up where you think that's really me, still just try to say, this is not me, this is not mine, this is not who I am, because I am aware. I'm bigger than all of that. So far in this meditation, we have focused on the content of our experience, that which comes and goes, the conditioned level of mind, the clouds, the display of our karma. And now towards the end of this meditation, I would like to invite you to become aware that there is something else, something bigger. There is presence. So we become aware of the witness. We become aware of the knowingness. We become aware of the sky, within which all this happens. this. And then if you get tangled again, you make a backward step. And then you become aware of being aware. You become conscious about being conscious. You become aware of presence, of stillness. You become aware of the ocean of calm, which is surrounding and pervading the stream. So you're not only aware of that which is changing, but also you become aware of that which remains. Your aliveness, your presence. Where you are most deeply yourself, deeper than your fears. And then you rest, doing nothing. So that doesn't mean that the stream disappears. No, there's thoughts, there's feelings, there's sensations, there's sounds. They continue to come and go. You become aware of that which is bigger than all of that. Kind of initially a bit beyond or beneath or deeper vastness, a vastness. And if you relax into that vastness and you experience a bit of shrinking, a bit of fear, that is a good sign. Just make a backward step and relax again. And if you experience a bit more space, a bit more openness, see if you can infuse the stream with that openness, with that calmness. Meditating with the body like a mountain and the heart like the sky. The heart like the sky, boundaryless, centerless, timeless, where we can meet, where we can mingle from heart to heart. So you look, and then you rest. You rely on silence, rely on spaciousness, rely on just being aware. And then if you have your eyes closed, I invite you to slowly open your eyes and see if you can keep a bit of that space, felt sense in your body. It is often a moment when we open our eyes, because we are very visual, that we collapse again into the dualistic split and into the identification with the body. So if it's possible to stay a bit in contact with the spacious aliveness. So this is stepping backward into a witness perspective, into an observer perspective. That is still a dualistic meditation, but it is really such a precious resource to cultivate in your life. Because with this backward step, you have choice. You start to have choice. So when you are swept away by the river and identified with the narrative self, for example, this important, difficult part of the narrative self in our case, and for many of us, is I'm not good enough, which is not only like a sentence, but it is actually a feeling in our body. I'm not good enough. And was stepping backward from that and seeing, yeah, that is an experience. I have an experience of not feeling good enough, but I'm not that, because I'm that which is aware. And then we can start to heal by loving presence, by loving awareness. So that which we become lovingly aware within us, the contraction, the disturbing emotions, so what we become aware of loses its power and can start to heal. So whenever there is an emotional disturbance, an anxiety, or this is an amazing capacity to make yourself bigger, to breathe into, and with that, welcoming the way you feel in that moment. And resisting any trying to talk back or trying to fix it, trying to control, trying to apply antidotes. Just trusting the medicine of loving awareness, of compassionate presence. And again, initially, we don't need to be too ambitious, yeah. So that it is like, wow, 100% loving awareness, because there will be parts of you who want to fix or control, or I mean, it is understandable that we don't that we don't want some of the feelings we have. But to resist that, that fixing, manipulating, what can I do, meaning, you know, how can I get rid of how I feel, to slide into the valid response of compassionate presence. Which immediately will reduce your suffering. And then your own struggles and your own disturbing emotions will become your opportunity to deepen your capacity to love whatever arises. And I think that is something which would make our life very meaningful. To extend our capacity to be lovingly present to whatever arises within us and around us. So then when we add as a second step to this meditation, a bit of a vipassana style of looking, so not only, which is wonderful, as compassionate, to look at as compassionate as possible, as soft, as kind as possible into your experience, but then also bring the vipassana practice into it, which is the insight into the three characteristics. And I won't go into them, but one of them is the first one is the anicca, the impermanence, the non-static nature. And of course, that is also a big relief, because in every crisis you go through, in the same way the ones you had last year or 10 years ago, which now seem to be like a dream, is the crisis you experience right now in 1 year will be also just like a dream, and it will be different. So the insight into impermanence, into the non-static nature, is really something which can help us to go through dark nights, because we see, while we experience a dark night, despair or sadness, that is something that this is a weather front passing through, and the sky will win always. Love, your love, the essence love with who you are, will win, because that's real. And the clouds, the weather front, is adventitious. It is a temporary phenomenon, and it comes and goes. And then the second insight is the insight into anatta. So that's what I brought into this meditation right now with this simple sentence: so this is not me, this is not mine. So instead of my anxiety, it is anxiety is experienced. And it is an anxiety which comes and goes. And I explore the possibility to find a way of peaceful coexistence, loving coexistence with the difficult feelings I have now. So the third step in this meditation then was, so we step back into the witness consciousness, into the observer perspective. And then we become curious about the observer. So it's something like, okay, I'm aware of my feelings. I'm aware of this body. I'm aware of my name. I'm aware of this contraction in my body, which seems to be me. I'm aware of the mental image of sitting in a room and being in a certain place. I'm aware of some of the roles I have, some of the masks I carry. I'm aware of my habits. So I'm aware of that. So if I am aware of all of that, who the heck am I then? Because obviously, and I don't know if everyone here can follow me, because it seems to be so obvious for me, but I'm not sure if I can communicate that. But what I am aware of, I'm not. Because I'm that which is aware. So what I'm aware of is an object of awareness. So who or what is the subject? And that is that moment we enter the terrain of real meditation. So which is in the Tibetan tradition, real meditation. The others are also real meditation, but in that moment, our meditation becomes profound. So that is the step where Mahamudra meditation starts, where we become curious about consciousness. We are starting to become a consciousness explorer. So what is that which is aware? And for many people, that question doesn't make any sense at all, because we, in our culture, we have a sense that that we are what we are aware of. We are that. So it is crazy question for many people, yeah, to ask, okay, so but what is that which is aware? And then not going to the library and read 800 pages about consciousness, which is also fine, but actually rely on your own experience, on your own inquiry, so on your own exploration, and not what is being said about consciousness in books. And the only way to explore consciousness, to become aware of awareness, of being conscious, becoming conscious about being conscious, is of course consciousness. So it's only through introspection you can explore consciousness. And this is a very subtle movement. It's actually in a way impossible to explain. I hope those of you who haven't been curious about this question, that I can trigger a bit of curiosity around this, so that you start to explore this question. And it might take some time to identify the object of meditation when we talk about meditation on the nature of mind. Yeah. That is a bit of a challenge, yeah, to identify the object of meditation. So when I say turn your attention back to its source, yeah, or the question, so what is aware? It's so to get a sense of how to look and where to look. This might take some time. I'm not even trying to do this now, because it's also it's challenging to talk about something I know I can't really talk about. I mean, we are here at the point where concepts and words they are coming at the end of their capacity. Yeah. So if you are interested to explore this shift from meditating on the objects of awareness, which is a lot of meditations, they are about working with the object of awareness. So this crucial step of becoming curious about awareness itself, then a good start is a book which came out not so long ago, where they collected the teachings of Lama Yeshe on Mahamudra. Yeah. So that's a wonderful little book which can give you a good introduction into this topic. This is really a crucial question, which should at one point come up in our practice within the Tibetan tradition. The turning to the meditation on the nature of mind. yeah, so are there any comments, questions, doubts, or something you want me to elaborate upon?
Hi, Stephan.
Yes, hi.
Hi, I just wanted to add that some of us are following Rob Priest's course here in Copenhagen, and we had a study group, and kind of halfway through his newest book, Tasting the Essence of Tantra, Buddhist Tantra, and that gives a really, really, I think personally, a very, very good description of what you're talking about as well.
Yes.
He relies on Lama Yeshe's teachings, but he's also like you, trained in psychotherapy and etc. So he has a lot of wonderful examples of how to apply it to a Western modern setting. So I want to recommend that book as far as I've gotten into it. So
Yeah, I just read it. Yeah, I know Rob very well.
I'll just find it.
So usually, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to show it. Someone asked. It's called Tasting the Essence of Tantra, Buddhist Meditation, Temporary Western Life by Rob Priest, Instrument 19.
Yes. So usually when I talk about the identification, that the way how we disconnect from the source of love and wisdom within us, our Buddha nature, is the self-grasping. So usually when I talk about that, the identification with the narrative self, also the instructions, this is not me and this is not mine, usually I meet quite some resistance. So I'm surprised that you just seem to take in what I say. Were there no rebellious thoughts of in you?
I have a question. I don't know
Yeah.
if you can see. This is Suzanne.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
I mean, I don't know if it was a rebellious thought. I mean, fear comes up, sometimes, like this time there was fear. And then also when you said this is not me, this is not mine, like this huge gratitude comes up, like so big. And then it's like, and then this is not me, this is not mine, like that doesn't make any sense, because I there's like no separation from this gratitude, like it's just like all over the place. So if you could like just talk about that.
Is that your husband?
This is my husband.
Okay, it's hi. Nice to see you. What is your name?
Corey.
Or?
Corey.
Corey. Ah, Corey. Okay. Yeah, nice to meet you. Corey and Susan from Colorado, Boulder. Great. Yeah. So there was some thoughts when you talked about when you said what you said. The first, the fear you mentioned. So that is something I also point I try to incorporate that in the meditation. I mean, the meditation was a bit overloaded. One could have did it a bit more simple. I just tried to put everything into it. Yeah, so it was maybe. But at one point I said, so if in this meditation there's a sense of shrinking, a sense of fear, and a sense of wanting to hold on, that is a good sign. Yeah, so because the narrative self and the identification with the narrative self doesn't want to let go. Yeah, because as soon as it would let go, that would be its end, because there's nothing behind it. So this kind of sense of falling, the kind of groundlessness, maybe a bit of confusion, a bit of anxiety coming up. So these are good signs, and there is a danger that when people experience this, almost like falling through the floor, or where do I stand on if this is all not me? Yeah. So then it's good to know about that it is a normal thing. Most people experience that at one point, and not to pull back from that kind of meditation, which can happen. Yeah. So you might have the opportunity in this time to have a genuine experience of no self, but you don't do the practice because it comes with that deep anxiety, which can be quite overwhelming, because it is the anxiety around death. Yeah. It is the same, because that what we think we are, that will go in the death process, and if we don't have any experience of that there's something more or something deeper, then of course we hold on to anything we can hold on to. Yeah. But the other thing is also that it's also a possible response, which you also described, and that is the relief, the joy, finally to break through the prison of the narrative self. All this, what about me, this constant narcissistic, self-important, oh God, this is happening to me thing, and this happened to me, and this will happen to me, and what does this relationship or this job or this meditation give to me? So when that kind of has a break and opens a bit, then experience of gratitude and joy arise. So both can happen in the same meditation, and it's both good signs, I would say, because both are symptoms that we actually get somewhere in our meditation. The joy and the gratitude, the love, the peace, but also the fear. And then, so to say, this is not me, this is not mine, this is not an absolute statement. This is not what the Buddha really means. So the Buddha could also say to everything which is in your experience, say to this is me, this is mine. Yeah. So this is me, this is mine, this planet is mine, this planet is my body. The violence and the goodness in the world, it's all me. It's yeah. So that would be an opposite sentence, but it would lead into the same experience of non-duality in the end. Yeah? So this is so one does not need to discuss the sentence, this is not me, this is not mine, because it's not like an absolute statement, like this is how it is. Yeah? So it is like a tool, and the opposite tool can lead to the same kind of experience. That's very interesting. what the Buddha actually said in the Heart Sutra, he said, this is neither me nor it is not me. Yeah. So it's neither me nor is it not me. Yeah. So in that way, we come to that place of not knowing. For the dualistic mind, it is either me or it is not me. But the genuine true statement of the Buddha is, this is neither me nor is it not me. Try to figure that one out. When you figure that sentence out, then you're there.
Well, thank you so much. This
yeah,
is
and then the next step, and next thing is, when you say, this doesn't make sense anymore because it becomes all one, yeah, because this method of stepping backward and saying, this is not me, this is not mine, this is still dualistic. So when the experience, when the dualistic split, which is the cause of our suffering, so the dualistic split between subject and object. So and Tibetan Buddhism is the transmission of the experience of non-duality. So that kind of, feeling of dissolving into the content of your experience, where there's no me anymore, or no observer, yeah? Not even the most subtle one. In the meditation, the observer or the witness consciousness is quite a subtle I, it's quite a subtle me, but there's still a sense of, I'm the observer, I'm the witness, I'm awareness, I'm consciousness. And that is still, that's still dualistic. So that experience you have what you described, that's a bit of a taste of that experience of non-duality. There's no gap between what is experienced and the experiencer. It's the same, yeah? The experiencer and the experiencer are the same. Awareness and the appearances within awareness are one, they are the same.
Thank you so much. It's like
You're
a
very
tsunami.
welcome.
It's like a tsunami of beauty.
Thank you.
Stephen, I have a question. My name is Matt, and first of all, I love this this whole Dharma talk, just tremendous. On the concept, I love what you're talking about, the breaking through the prison of the narrative self, and I really did follow and understand what you were saying. So that's on the cushion, and while we're all meditating, when quote self arises practically during the day. So I'm going through some injuries and stuff like that, and I can sort of follow you and get past it. But during the day, if I move, like I got an elbow injury, if I move my elbow and it twinges, it sets off in motion, oh, this is never going to end, I'm going to ruin my next vacation, blah, blah, blah. It goes on, and it starts to spiral. But the day has started, off the cushion now. What strategy do you implement during life and when life is in session to try to bring yourself back in the storm? Okay, thank you.
Yes, it's a good question. And it's good to have a toolbox of different practices which are provisional, which are dualistic practices, which can be, in the Tibetan tradition, it could be Tonglen or guru devotion, a mantra, it could be taking refuge, it could be remembering bodhicitta. So it's practices which you have familiarized yourself with, and which then become available during daily life. And I also find practices, like the practices of self-compassion, Christine Neff, Tara Brach. So pausing, becoming saying yes, making a compassionate mudra of, yeah, this is a really difficult moment from, oh yeah, it's so difficult. I feel like I cannot handle it. Yeah. So, and then to kind of install a kind narrative, which you can implement in these moments. If one has more familiarity with the nature of mind or awareness itself, so which one gains in the more formal practice, then what happens usually that space becomes more easy available to people. And so for example, many people, when they do retreats, like they do maybe a weekend retreat or a week retreat with me, many of them, they report in the aftermath of the retreat that there is just more space. So they are confronted with the same physical challenges or emotional challenges or difficult events in their life, but somehow there is more space. So the meditation has an after effect of and it is a bit more easy for them to make the backward step, and so then after some years, I think it should stabilize more. Yeah, that capacity. So maybe, and then you keep it a bit alive through your formal practice. So I would say to familiarize yourself with the ultimate medicine as much as possible, and then trying to have short mini meditations throughout the day to reconnect with that space, which could initially be symbolized through the Lama or through Tara or through a mantra. So sometimes it's easier to connect with the essence through a symbol, until it becomes non-symbolic, the experience. But the Lama is a symbol of our own Buddha nature, and so in a crisis we could, if that is a kind of practice which speaks to us, we can call upon the Dalai Lama or Tara, or knowing that we are calling upon our own Buddha nature through the symbol of Tara, through the symbol of the Dalai Lama. Yeah. So it's a mixture of knowing the ultimate medicine and becoming more familiar with it, and then increasing our toolbox of provisional dualistic practices, which makes the difficult situation more, one can handle it better. The practice of Tonglen, in a nutshell, in a difficult moment in our day, would be, this is a difficult moment for me, or a difficult day, or difficult weeks, and I'm not alone with this. There's many other people who are experiencing the same right now, and may they all be free of that condition. Yeah. So then, like a chronic health condition becomes part of our practice, and we actually use it for becoming a better lover of what is. A tiny little bit, baby steps. Yeah, so that was a good question. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for
the
great answer.
One could explore that question for a long time.
I've got time.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, yeah. So I'm personally, I'm very familiar with making that shift, but it was is building on many, many years of practice. But still, I continue to increase my toolbox with relative placebos, yeah, for illusionary problems. Yeah, illusionary illusionary practices for illusionary problems, and I'm a fanatic about it. I mean, it's like my hobby. Yeah, so and whatever helps. Yeah, so it doesn't matter, from supplements to body exercise to therapy. So knowing that all of that is provisional, because the ultimate medicine is the realization of the nature of mind.
Gotcha. So you're regrooving, you're able to regroove old patterns through these different practices that you've been talking about. Okay.
Yes, you work with the relative level of your mind, with the conditioned mind, in order to come to a place where the ultimate medicine can be really soaked in. Yeah, so if one is in agony and in anxiety attacks, it is a possible place to open into unity, but it's easier if there's some relative health, as much as possible, and some calmness through shamatha practice, and some habits of compassion. But then that better dream, yeah. So it's a better dream. Then the better dream is the platform to wake up. It's more difficult to wake up in a nightmare because the entanglement and the identification is stronger, and there's not much space. So a lot of the Buddhist practices, they accumulating merit and purification, they make a better dream so that we can wake up from the dream.
Thank you.
Okay, so I did it. Was not too bad.